All right. Okay, sorry about that. Hi, my name is Stacie Fletcher, and I am your Google trainer for the day. I work in the campus ministry. I work in operations doing special projects and have been on staff for 11 years. And my journey with Google has had its ups and downs. About 5 years ago, I kind of heard rumors in the campus ministry that we were talking about moving to Google. And I was an executive assistant and thought that was the worst idea I had ever heard of. And so I quickly became part of the tester group so that I could make sure and tell them what an awful, horrible idea it was. And of course, as would normally happen in the process of testing, I fell in love with Google and couldn't wait for us to move there, and then we decided not to do it. And so I've actually been waiting for this day for a long time, and like 3 sweeteners or sugars. Thank you, sorry. So I've been waiting for this day for a long time, but I have been on both sides of the fence. I was a Power Outlook user, and now probably consider myself a Power Google user, and so you know, I can kind of see the world from both sides, and hopefully that will enable me to help you well. We have a lot to cover today, so I'm going to jump right in. And we're just going to start out by talking about why are we going to Cru Apps powered by Google. Like I said, it's been a long journey. I've been part of the journey for at least 5 years on and off, so I know that it's been something that our leadership has been looking into for a long time, trying to decide if this is the best route for our ministry. And here are some of the reasons that they finally decided, yes, this is what we need to go to. The first one is connection. Our ministry is all about connection. It's about connecting to each other. It's about connecting to others, and it's about connecting the lost to Christ. And so this Google Apps is really designed for connection. There's tools like chat and video and video hangouts, and even just the way that your email is set up is made for you to connect with another person. And the tools really move us forward in our ability to connect with others digitally. The next one is collaboration. Cru Apps is designed for collaboration. As we seek to move forward and being able to collaborate with partners, students, volunteers, each other, so much more of our work is done virtually and digitally where we need to collaborate with each other online. Cru Apps is made and designed for that. Flexibility. Though we want to collaborate with each other and with partners outside of our ministry, we also want the ability to control how much we share with them, depending on what we're doing and who we're working with. And Cru Apps has the flexibility to allow you to share as much as you want or as little as you want, depending on what you're doing. And we think this is going to enable us to work with others outside of the ministry like we've never been able to before. And the last one is security. Despite popular rumors, Google Apps is actually one of, if not the most secure thing on the market. And so one of our major desires is to protect our ministry in this age of digital information. And so one of the reasons that one of the driving forces of us moving to Cru Apps powered by Google is security and privacy. So what are Cru Apps? You might ask. I'm glad you did. Let me tell you. Here's your Cru Apps toolbox. The first one is Cru Mail. Cru Mail is beloved by hundreds of thousands of users all over the world and has been making its way into the business world. It allows you to communicate with email, chat, video calls. Cru Drive makes collaborating as easy as creating. Cru Calendar allows you to organize your life effortlessly with tools like Smart Scheduler. It also allows teams to share and connect their times with each other in a very intuitive and easy way. Cru Sites has easy to build shared workspaces for teams, so you can keep your teams and your projects on the same page literally. And Google Plus makes sharing on the web more like sharing in real life. Cru Mail, connect in real time, face to face. As you can see, Cru Mail brings people front and center. Even just little things like pictures in your email box just allows you to connect with who that person is. Video chat, instant chat available with video, audio, text, group chat, group video chat, just at the click of a button. Over here in our people widget, you have the click of a button. You can find people's info, all of the contact information that you have for them, all of the emails you shared with them recently, their calendar availability, and the documents you've shared with them. This gives you a 360-degree view of your connection with that person. Google Docs allows us to collaborate in a whole new way. Before, if you wanted to create a presentation or any sort of document together of any kind used for any purpose within the ministry, you either had to all be huddled around the same screen, or one person had to work on it, and then another person worked on it over here, and another over here, and you kind of tried to merge them together after the fact, or you forwarded emails around, and all of those are pretty inefficient ways for us to collaborate digitally. But Google Docs really takes that into a whole new way where you can be collaborating together in the document at the same time. You could put comments and notes for people that need to come back and connect later. You can email somebody, hey, what do you think about this paragraph? It really just allows you to work on things together in a seamless and frictionless way. And allows you to share as much as you want or as little as you want inside and outside of Cru. All of the documents that you have, before when you forwarded a document, you attached it to an email. At that point, you really had no control or knowledge of who had connections and access to that document. Here you always know, and you can always change who has access to your document depending on what you need it for. You can change if they can edit, if they can view, if they're an owner, depending on what you need and when you need. And you always only have one copy, so that you're not trying to figure out what's the most recent version of the thing that's been emailed around. One thing that we have done within Cru Apps is that we have enabled sharing for outside of the organization. We've done this because this is one of the main reasons that we're moving. But as you do that, you just kind of want to always be aware that when you're sharing outside of the organization, you want to be aware of privacy and security, especially as it relates to closed countries and secure information. So you just kind of want to think. Actually, when I was making the list for Google Guides, I had people sign up to be Google Guides, and that doesn't seem like a very secure thing to me. But then somebody from Jesus Film said, "Can you just make sure that I know you're not going to make this a public document, because I don't want a public document that says Cru with my name on it." I said, "Oh yeah, duh, of course." So it's a new way of doing things, so you just kind of want to be thinking about it as you do things. Flexibility. Anywhere you go, your email goes with you. Now that could be a bad thing, so you might want to have discipline. But you can get your email, your docs, your calendar on your tablet, on your phone. You can get it on somebody else's computer. All you have to do is sign in, and it's right there with you. You also can get it offline. There are apps on Google Chrome that allow you to access your email, your docs, your calendar, your tasks offline as well. And security first. Google Apps is able to invest in security at a level that is just difficult for most companies, not to mention most nonprofits, to rival. They have the top security experts in the world working for them, and all of the Cru data is out on lots of different servers, and it's constantly backed up. So it's very difficult for data loss to happen or data breaches to happen. In addition, Google is legally obligated to keep our information private, even from themselves. The only access their employees have to our data is to provide service and security, not to use for marketing or for advertisements or even just for their own information. So this doesn't work the same way as your personal Gmail account works. It's a whole different ballgame, and it's a very secure and private environment just for Cru. So that is the what and the how. That's the what and the why. Let's talk a little bit about the how. The class today is going to be covering how to use Cru Apps, how to use your mail, how to use your calendar. But the burning question in this room has nothing to do with how am I going to use it. It's how am I going to get all my stuff there? Tell me how the move works. And so I want you to put that on hold for a little while and let us move to how you're going to use it. Because come Wednesday, you won't really care how you move your stuff there. You're just going to care how to use it. How to move is all covered on this website, cruapps.cru.org. You will get an email tonight. You will get an email tomorrow. You will get an email tomorrow evening that all have this website linked into there. So it's easy for you to find, easy for you to go to. But once you go here on this first tab, it says your first hour getting started, and it has 3 activities for you to work with on your first tab to get started. And so you'll download Chrome. There's different ways to sign in, and it talks about how to set up your signature and your sending as name. Then once you do that, you move on to your first day getting set up, and this shows you how to set up your mobile devices, your tablets. It shows you how to move things over that were not migrated automatically. So if you currently use a Gmail address as your primary ministry address, it shows you how to move everything from that personal account over into your Cru Apps account. Things like tasks, notes, and archives won't be moved automatically, and so those 2 links will show you how to move those over depending on what you're using and what you need to move them from. It'll also, we'll cover labs a little bit today, but this will go back and show you the recommended labs to set up. And then in your first week, it takes you just through some activities to kind of get your account set up and help you just begin using it. Things like setting up your labels and filters, things like how to set up chat, how to start a Google Hangout, those types of things. So you're really going to want to make sure you work through all of these things. Your life will be much, much easier if you just kind of follow through. After the training, this training is going to go pretty quickly, and I'm going to cover a lot of material in a very short amount of time. And so some of you are going to go, whew. Never fear, we actually have an entire training curriculum online with videos, done by, every little thing that you might want to do. How do I, compose an email? How do I send a hyperlink? You'll be able to go here, you go to More, and down to Google Apps Training. I'll show you again where that is once we get into the account. And then there'll be courses that you can take. There's a email, calendar, drive, and sites course. And within those courses, you can even just choose to scroll down just to the one thing that you want to learn how to do. You can also go up into the search bar and just search for how do I compose an email. And it will take you right to the little 15-second video that shows you how to compose an email. And so this is going to be really helpful for you to continue learning after this training session. We are asking that every staff person become proficient and trained in how to use Google Apps on the web. So that means not using Google Apps on your computer on Outlook or Mac Mail or Entourage or Thunderbird, whatever you've been using, but instead how to use it here on the web. We actually suggest Google Chrome. Here's the reason. Studies show that organizations that all move to the same tools in the same places increase productivity by 20 to 30%. It doesn't even matter if it's a good tool. It's just the fact that everyone is using the same thing, and everyone doesn't have to learn all these different tools in order to work together. And so if we're all working in the same platform, it will really help us to move forward as a ministry in our productivity. I've actually already seen this. A lot of times people email me and say, okay, you have this in the instructions, now how do I do that? And I'm like, well, are you in Outlook? Are you in Outlook on the web? Are you in Entourage? What year are you in? To try to even help them figure out, how to save files, because it's different in every one of them. But when we're all in the same thing, we just move forward, and I've already seen that as people help each other and move forward really quickly. If after you've learned, you've become proficient, you've become trained, and you feel like I just can't do my job without moving back to Mail or to Entourage, then at that time you can. But we would ask that would be the exception and not the norm in our ministry. Want to remind you that change is hard. Changing something so central to your everyday life is harder. Change plus technology is just crazy. And so give yourself grace, give yourself time, give each other grace. Remember, 70% of staff use email as their primary form of communication. This is your ministry. It's not your whole ministry, but it's a significant part of it. This is a spiritual act. And so remember, as you're moving forward through this and as you're learning this, dynamic determination, intellectual flexibility, Christ-centered character, emotional stability, which has been hard. Remember to breathe spiritually, and remember to pray for each other. Give each other lots of patience and lots of time, and give yourself the same. So let's get started. Starting on Monday, the way that you will sign into your email is you will go to mail.cru.org. Again, all of these emails are coming to you with this, so you will have these links. But mail.cru.org is your new home. So once you've signed into mail.cru.org, this is what it will look like. So you'll be right here. Let me just give you a little tour of the lay of the land.
Stacie, this won't be visible until Monday, till it merges, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Monday morning, you'll sign it at mail.cru.org, and this is what you'll see. Actually, you won't see messages from Gandalf, probably, but this is a view that you'll see. Let me give you a little tour. Up at the top is the black bar. Let me turn the lights off. Helps you to see the black bar. Up at the top, you see that black bar. This is where all of your different apps are, and you can move back and forth to them. So you've got Drive, Calendar, Sites, Groups. And then right here is the More button that I was talking about. You go down to More. And of course, and then you go to Google Apps Training. And so that's where you can go there. The Learning Center is actually the cruapps.cru.org site. So you can go there right from here as well. Then next you have your search bar. One of the big differences in Google is search. How many of you guys use Google to search for things in your everyday life? Right. You trust Google to help you find your favorite Thai restaurant out of millions of Thai restaurants that exist. Google can easily look through your thousands of emails when it can look through hundreds of thousands of anything to find what you want. And so Outlook, Mac Mail, Entourage, they were set up on sorting and on folders. Google's strength is search. So this is going to be something you're really going to want to learn. And putting time into learning search is going to be the thing that will help you increase your productivity in email more than anything you can do. So we'll talk more about that. Whatever app you're in, it will always say right there in that red button. So here we're in Mail, so it's going to tell us Mail. And Mail actually has a few other things connected to it. It has your contacts and your tasks. So just know that's where you find those. Right here is your Compose button. The big red button, that's where you compose a new email. Down here are your different labels. The labels that are called system labels are up at the top. And then the labels that you make are right here at the bottom. You'll notice this one says circles. Circles is actually what you create in Google+. Google+, for those of you who don't know, it's a little bit like Facebook, but it operates a little differently. And so you can create circles in Google+, and then those translate right on over to your contacts, to your email, and you can look up email by circles, you can look up contacts by circles, so that's a nice, easy way to do it. Down here is your chat bar. Chat has already become a very significant part of my workday. I never expected that, but it's just so much easier to chat with people that we quickly chat with each other rather than sending each other emails. Right here in the middle is, kind of the bulk of your email. You've got your who it's from, you've got the subject. Up here along the top are your menu bars that apply to all the email that are showing. There's not a lot of menu bars that apply to everything. Right here is where you can go back and forth. If you have more than show up on one page, then you'll go to the next set of emails. Here's your settings. Up here, this is where you go to like Google Plus if you want to go check your Google Plus. And then right here is a lot of people are asking, well, how do I check my, am I going to have to sign in and sign out all the time to go back and forth between my personal Gmail and my Cru one? And the answer is no. All you're going to do is you're going to add an account. Once you've added it, it will show up in here. So I'm going to go right here, and this is my personal Gmail, and it's just going to open up in the tab next to it. And so email's getting slow, or internet's getting slow. So it'll just open up in the tab next to it, and I can just easily switch back and forth between tabs. I can keep both tabs open all the time. I can, close them. Once I close it, I can easily go back over, drop down, open it up again. Calendar, you can do the same thing. Google Drive, you have to sign in and out of. But Mail and Calendar, you can be working in both accounts at the same time. So it's really easy to keep them both going.
Stacie, why would you want two calendars? Can you not?
I'll get to Calendar. You wouldn't want two calendars. You're right.
And you can
forward your personal Gmail to this if you want to, but it becomes Cru Staff.
Correct.
Has access to it if it's on their server.
Correct. Yeah. So you are welcome to set up forwarding or IMapping from your personal Gmail to Cru, but as has always been the case, Cru has ownership of all of your email that is through a Cru address, everything that's on a Cru computer, and so, you know, just depends on how much of your personal life you want to keep separate from that. That's a personal choice, but I just choose to go back and forth because it's just really easy, and it kind of keeps them separate. But the calendar, you just share the calendar. I'll show you how to do that. You don't ever need 2 calendar tabs open. All right, so let's start with something easy like composing an email. So you're just going to come over here and click Compose. And you're going to write let's do 2 Elron. And let's say, all right. So, to Elron, coming for a visit, we really miss this place. So, you know, you just kind of compose like normal. Up here is the CC or BCC. You just click on them if you want to copy somebody. Down here are some of your kind of menu options. And so, you've got, you've got attach a file just like normal. You press that button, it's going to bring up your files, and then you can attach a file just like normal. Can you see those?
No.
Let's see if I can move this. Yes. All right. So right here is where you attach a file. But you can also insert a file using Google Drive, which is kind of probably the better way to go, because then now you're just sharing the one document, not sharing lots of documents, or not sharing lots of versions. So you go to My Drive, and we're going to attach a thing about discipling hobbits. And I'm going to move that down in the email. All right, so now I've got the document right in there, and say, can we talk about this when I come? But you can also do other things, like you can add a picture. So if I do that, I can choose a file from my computer, but I can also add just by a web URL. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to copy the URL. Oops. And I'm going to put it right in here, and then it's just going to enter the picture right on into my email. I could have also just chosen to put a hyperlink in. So down here again, now you've got hyperlink, and I can just add in the URL there, and now you have a hyperlink in your email. So those are some of the basic functions. You've got just your normal editing options. You've got a couple of font options and, bold, italic, lists, those types of things. I also want to call your attention down here to save. About 3 seconds after you start working on an email, it's going to save it and put it into your drafts. So if you close this out, you'll be able to find it in your drafts and send the message again later. But we are going to go ahead and send this. And that is how you send an email. Very simple. Any questions about that?
I have questions, but
Yeah.
they're not about that specifically.
Yeah, so just go ahead and do about that, and then I'll keep asking after I show something any questions, and then at the end I'll see if I didn't cover something. All right, so that's how you compose an email. Then once you come on over here, let's look at just how to read any sort of regular email and work with it. One of my favorites is Gimli asking if we saw his axe. He lost his axe. So there's a number of different things we can do. We just open it up, and as you can see, once you click on it, it's there. And you can open up and read it. You can reply to it right here. You can reply all. right there. You can forward. You can go back and mark it as unread. And then up here are the things now that you, these are the menu options that you can now do to this message. You can archive it, you can delete it, you can move it, you can label it, you can add it to a task, you can create an event, you can create a filter, and then you can mute, and I'll talk about that later. So let's say that we want to archive this message. Here's one of the big differences between Google and Outlook. Archiving in Google does not mean the same thing. In our Exchange system, you had 1 gigabyte of space. And so, you would get that annoying message saying you're running out of space, and so then you would have to archive your messages, and it would compress them down, and then it would move them onto your hard drive. That's not what archiving does in Google. In Google, all of your mail that comes in to all mail. So all mail is down here. So they all come into all mail. Anything that you send, any calendar, any drafts, they're all mail. What Google does is when an email first comes in, it says, oh, they haven't looked at it yet, so we're just going to put a label on it called inbox. And so once it comes in, they just put the label on it called inbox. So you see here's the little label, inbox. So all archiving is in Google is just taking the inbox label off. So when I take the inbox label off, it says this conversation has been archived. You can learn more or you can undo. So I'm going to undo that right now. And now the label's back there. So if I take the label off, it says inbox, I'll no longer find it in inbox, but it will still be there in all mail. In Google, you have 25 gigabytes of space. So that's 25 times the amount of space that you've had. Very few people are going to reach that amount. And so you really don't need to worry about deleting and moving them off of Google onto your hard drive ever again. That's just not really something you need to do anymore, which is fabulous. They're all just right here in your email. So speaking of labels, but you can delete. Sorry, there's the delete button. This one's marked as spam, so if something comes in that is spam, you can do that. You can delete. We suggest that for the first couple of months when you're getting used to Google, not to delete things. Mostly because there are some differences, and so then you'll inadvertently delete things that you weren't planning on. Now, if you delete something, I'm going to go ahead and delete this, and you go down, you look, here is your trash. So if I go to trash, if I go to trash, you notice right up here, it says messages that have been trashed more than 30 days will be automatically deleted. So unless you go in and delete them, even if you delete a message, it's still going to be in there for 30 days. So it's not an emergency if you accidentally delete something. But even so, we just suggest for the first couple of months, just archive, just kind of get used to the system. But now let's say, okay, with Gimli, the axe, we weren't ready to delete that, but it's going to be way down here. So let me say Gimli and apps. Oh, Gimlin is not going to work. Okay, Gimli.
No E on apps.
Ah, is that it? Well, this is a great one to show you. Let's just do Gimli. Oh, I know why. Because it's not searching trash unless I ask it to search trash. That was why. So in trash, Gimli. Now it's there. So we're going to open that again. And we are going to remove the trash label. And so now it's back in the inbox. So again, if you delete something, it's not an emergency. There's a little bit of time. So let's talk about labels while we're here. Here's one of the differences. A label is similar to a folder in your old email. In fact, all of your folders will move over and become labels. So when your messages are migrated, your folders will become labels. And here's how I like to think of the difference. Pretend that your email is an actual printed piece of paper. And in Outlook, when you wanted to put it into a folder, you have your filing cabinet, you open it, and you've got all your folders, and you put the piece of paper into a folder. Now let's say you want it to be in multiple folders. You would actually have to make copies of that and to put it into the different folders. So you have to remember which folder you put it in. And that gets a little more difficult. And so what Google has done is it's more like having your piece of paper and putting Post-it notes on it. And so you can have like 5 different Post-it notes on the one piece of paper. Now the analogy breaks down because in Google you can actually search all those Post-it notes and organize it by Post-it notes, which you can't do here. But the important piece of information to remember is that there's still only one piece of paper. So in your Outlook, if you made copies and you took one of them and you took the email back out of one of those files and threw it away, you were only throwing away that copy. The other copies were still in their other folders. In Google, not so. In Google, there's one piece of paper. If you throw it away in any label, you're throwing the email away, period. So that's one of the reasons we say not to delete. But that's a way to think about labels. And so labels are basically, lots of different ways to organize a message, and each message can have lots of labels.
Okay, so how do you put multiple labels on a message?
So I'm going to show you that in just a second. So let's look, now that we know what labels are, on how to actually label. So I'm going to not chat with Galadriel right now. So Gimli asked about his axe, and I am going to label this lost items. So I have this label down here called lost items, and I'm just going to drag it up there.
Stacie, be careful of your chargers.
Thanks. I think I'm good for now. Oh well. Thank you. I'm also going to label this reunion because so now I've got multiple labels up there. I just take them and drag them. I could have done it this way also. I could have just come up here and clicked lost items and reunion and put it there. Just 1 second. The last way that I can do it is I can put those labels on. Didn't quite get it there. And then, so I'm going to put one label on, but now I'm actually going to, move it to inbox first. Sorry, I should have moved it to inbox a minute ago. All right, well, I'm waiting for the internet. Let me go. So now I'm trying to find that email. I'm going to go to lost items. All right, so now I lost it, but I can easily find it again by searching. So I'm going to do Gimli. Actually, I'm just going to do from him. And anyone see my axe? So the other thing that I can do is if I just want one label on there, it's still not in the inbox. What? Okay, something's going wrong. Normally this folder should say move, and I can choose to move it to folders. I'm not quite sure why it's doing that, but let's go lost items, reunion, apply. And then I'm going to archive it. So I'm going to take the inbox label off. And so now it's not going to appear in the inbox anymore, but it will appear in lost items. Something weird is going on with this message. So let's choose another message to do this with. Okay, Legolas is awesome. So I don't really have any labels I want to apply to that, so I'm actually going to create a new one called Legolas. And so now now I moved that conversation to this new label called Legolas. So now over here in Legolas, that conversation is there. So does that make sense? You can apply lots of labels. You can apply one label. You can also do all of those same things right here from here. So I could apply labels. I could move it without opening up the email. I could drag the labels over there. And if you drag a conversation to a label, that moves it to that label.
So does it move just that one email or the whole conversation if you reply back and forth?
I'll get to conversation threads in just a second, but the whole conversation. What's your question?
So labels are sort of like folders.
Yes.
And if I had an email in the inbox, I could move that email into a label.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be similar to what I've been doing.
Yes.
Okay.
The difference is that before you could only move it into one, now you could label it with 4 different folders, and it would go into all of those folders as well. So that's the main difference.
So does that mean labels are virtually the same thing as folders?
Well, like I said, the main difference is a folder, you could only have one email, could only go to one folder. Now a label, you can label one email with 10 labels instead of just putting it into one place. You could put it into lots of places. But yes, they can work the same way as folders. Yes.
So I have subfolders.
Yep.
And maybe subfolders.
Yep.
Will that all import into
Yep.
sublabels? Oh, okay.
Yep, it will all import. So if you create one here, can you see this here, how it's just indented? So this is a subfolder, this is a subfolder. When they import in from Outlook, what it would actually do would be barbecue for reunion / cost, barbecue for reunion / food. So it's when you make them in Google, it doesn't do that. In Cru Mail, when you make them, it just nests them in like that. But when they import it, they will all have that to begin with. So you might want to then go in and clean them up later.
Did I understand you correctly that at some point we will import, like I'm in Entourage right now, I will import my folders organization into this at some point? And
So-
it will become labels?
Anything that's currently in there, it's not an archive, but it's actually in your system, it's just going to move over for you
On that.
this weekend. It
So
will.
I will have labels that look exactly like my folders.
Except that if they're subfolders, it will have the top folder / next one. But those will all move over.
RSS feeds too?
I don't know. Yeah, sorry. There's an FAQ that says what will move, and I can't remember what the RSS feeds are. So just a tiny tidbit, and this is just advice. Most people find that because the search function works so well and so quickly, so much easier to find things searching than looking through a long list of emails that you had in your label. Pretty quickly, within a couple of months, people kind of stop using labels. I started with hundreds. In Outlook, I had hundreds of folders. And then that kind of drifted down and drifted down. I've got 5 now, and all of those folders are action item folders. They're not label folders because it's just so much easier to find them in search. So what I've seen a lot of people do is spend tons and tons of time making sure they get their labels all set up just exactly like their folder system. And that could take you a while if you have hundreds of them. And then within a month, you're not even really using them anymore. And so just a word to the wise that I would actually spend that time learning search and learning how to use the different search rather than getting all your labels all exactly like you want them, because there's a good chance you won't use them the same way you did in Outlook. Again, you got used to that system in Outlook. You started using all of those because that's what worked best, in Entourage or Outlook. That's what you needed to do to find your emails. What you need to do to find your emails here is search, is get really good at finding those search options. So just a little tidbit. You're obviously welcome to use thousands of labels as much as you want.
So when it searches, does it search content within the email, or does it just search?
So let's talk about search. So when you search, so I'll do Gimli again. Oops. You do need to go down. When you search, you can just type something in there. You could also type to, and then it's just going to search just the messages that were to Gimli. You could type from, you could type label, you could type any of those kind of beginner, those things. You can also just type words. So I'm going to look for messages about orcs and evangelism. And these are all of my things that have to do with orcs and evangelism. So like here's one of the things that when you get better at search, you start kind of thinking, what would have been a unique word in that email that I was talking about? And you search for the unique words combinations. So if I just searched for evangelism, I would have gotten a whole bunch of things. But this was evangelism to orcs. And so it's bringing in just those things. So that's one of them. But here's the advanced search options. And you go down here. You can choose where to search, if it's going to search all your mail, inbox, star, drafts, chats, mail, spam, and trash. So that's what happened to me the first time I had moved it to trash, and it only searches trash if you come down here and ask it to. Read, unread, any of your labels, so you can choose there. From, to, the subject, if it has the words, if it doesn't have the words, if it has an attachment, the date. So as you can see, putting in lots of different factors is going to be, you know, a pretty easy way to get to the one email that you're looking for that might have been, you know, out of 200 that are in a particular label. Yes?
So if the word you're searching for is not in the body of the email, but it is in the subject line, it will still catch it.
Yep. If you put it has the words. If you put it in the subject, it will only search subject lines. Yes?
Okay, when I search my inbox, and for example, let's say somebody sent me an email that I don't remember, it's like from school and it started with a K. I can write K and it'll put all the people with K. I noticed when you did Gimli, like it doesn't pop up, like all the G's don't pop up. So I wondered.
All the what? All the G's?
All the G's.
It's just because I don't actually have many contacts in here.
Okay.
I've only
Will
emailed.
That do that? Will
Yeah.
that do that so that you can, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you see here, G, it does pop up all the G's. It's just because I typed in GIM.
Oh, okay.
All right. So other questions about search? Yes.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. Next I'm going to move on to cover conversation threads and how these things apply to your whole message when it's not just the one message. So hold questions on that. But do you have any questions about labels, moving, all the stuff we've just talked about?
Is there a limit as to how many labels you can create?
No. Yes.
So I have been using Outlook and I have my own personal Gmail I use for personal email and my Cru mail. It all comes into my Outlook and I use all these folders to sort, and some folders have my personal stuff in it and Cru email. So is that going to be a problem? Do I need to do something before this weekend to separate those two out of all those folders?
I would say at this point, don't do anything. They've actually already started doing all of the behind the scenes work, and when you start making big changes within your system right now, it's more likely that problems will happen. And so probably next week, you're just going to want to go in and delete things out. It depends on where those folders lived. Like if they lived in your personal Gmail account, they won't move over. If they lived in your... So in Outlook, you know, it's bringing in your personal account and your thing. And so you've got your personal account here. If the folders were under the personal account, they're not on our Exchange system, so they won't move over. If your folders were under your Cru account, then they would move over. So it depends on where you had them.
So to clarify, I was thinking about cleaning up my folders between now and tomorrow at 4, and you're saying don't do that.
At this point, I wouldn't do it.
So repeat questions so people back.
Yeah. So basically, there's kind of some different questions about should I clean up my folders before it moves over. The advice I would give is right now, just leave everything as is. There's actually been background processes running on your accounts for weeks, getting things ready, getting things. It's not just a quick, simple thing. It's actually a very long, complicated process of getting it uploaded to servers and those servers to move. So any changes, major changes you make right now are more likely to end up in weird issues happening next week than they are to end up in like a nice, wonderful, clean inbox. And so my advice would be just leave it and then clean it up once you get to Google. Yes?
I
just been using Gmail,
Okay.
and so all my Cru emails have come to that. So
Nothing's going to move
it'll
over.
just- okay.
So then you'll go to the move, how to move my stuff from Google, from a personal Gmail account, and there's video tutorials on there that will show you how to move things over.
Okay.
All right. Yep.
When is our next break, or when is this session end?
This session ends very quickly in like 13 minutes.
Okay.
So in light of that, we're gonna hold questions on. Oh wait, what time is it?
10:47.
What time do we start? 10. Oh, good. This session ends at 10:30. But do you guys need a break? 11:30. I'm so messed up on times right now with so many time zones. Do you guys need a break? Okay. I can give a 5-minute break in just a couple minutes. So I'll give a 5-minute break before we move on to that. I know it's morning and people need breaks a little more often in the morning. Yes.
Kind of piggybacking on Stacey's question, if we have had several different accounts coming into our Outlook, are we looking at those needing to be separate now? Like our Cru email will only be our Cru email, and
So what types of accounts have you had coming in?
like a Yahoo account.
Yeah, so Yahoo, because Yahoo, it would just be in a different place. But if they were different kinds of Gmail accounts, you could look at them like I showed you. If they were different Cru accounts, you could look at them there, but they all have to be within the Google account. Sorry. All right.
Can I ask a quick
Yep.
question on search?
Yes.
What I had been doing is highlighting a label and then doing a search in that. And I think I discovered you can't do that with send mail.
You can't do that in sent mail? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go ahead and since this is a beginner class, that's actually a pretty advanced question,
Okay.
and we have a lot more to cover. So we can talk after. All right. So, sorry, I forgot to show you some very important things, which is editing your labels. So if you come over here, you can edit that particular label. You can choose a color, you can remove a color. You can choose if it's going to show in this label list. If you choose that it's not going to show in this label list, you see the more right down here. All you'll click down is on more, and then on that more, it'll show up below that. So it's not like you can't find it. It's just not going to show in your main labels. You can also choose to only show if it's unread. So I'll show you in a while how to create a filter, but let's say you create a filter for it to skip your inbox and just come straight into a label. So then that label will only show up if you have unread messages in that label. Or you can choose to hide it. You can add a sub-label, which you can't see right there, but if you add a sub-label, I'll click on it. It does this, and it says nest under this label, and then you put in the new label there. So, let's do, so that's how you edit an individual label. But when you first move in, you guys are, like you said, you're going to have a lot of labels moving in from your folders. And so let's look at how to edit a number of labels at a time. You're going to come over to Settings, and then you're going to go to Labels. And right here at the top, these are your system files. You can't delete those, but you can choose whether or not you're going to hide or show them. One thing that I want to encourage you is that for the beginning, show your spam. The spam filters in Google are very, very, very tight, and so we have to train them. And so at the beginning, it's going to put legitimate emails from, you can send an email to yourself and it'll end up in spam. So because it's based on all these other factors. And so at the beginning, you're going to want to check your spam for the first couple of weeks, just like you would check everything else, because there will be emails in there. When you find emails that are not spam in there, you just click. You click them, you click not spam, and then that will train it. And very quickly, it won't put those types of messages. The more we all do that, then the more the spam filters will be trained, and pretty soon we won't have that issue at all.
How'd you get there?
Settings,
Got it. Thank you.
labels. So down here are your labels, and you can create a new label from here. You can edit a label from here. you can show, hide, show if unread, remove, and edit, all from this folder. So let's say you want to do a whole bunch of them. It's nice to just come in here. So a bunch of them get pulled in with the folder / and you just want to get rid of that. You come in here and just delete the beginning of that. But the thing that we would also recommend is that you start out, you hide all, because you're probably going to come in with hundreds and hundreds of folders or of labels, and they're just going to be this long list. And so hide all of them and then just go back and show the ones that you really, want to see right now. Again, once you hide them, you could always come down to more and they will be there. If you come down to more here, you'll be able to see them. So they're not gone, they're just not in your main little list. And so that's helpful. All right, so any questions about all of that? While I'm here, before I move on to message threads, let me show you a couple things in general. Here's where you can actually really customize how you want your account to look and act and feel. You can choose what font you want to use and all sorts of different things like that. You can choose if you want to use stars. So I'm going to click to enable 4 stars, and I'll show you that later. But down here is your signature. And Cru is going to push out a signature to you that is branded, that's got the correct fonts, colors, logo. But as you see it there, you need to fill in the information. So this is something you're going to want to do at the very beginning. Otherwise, this is what will go out to people. You can delete the Cru if you're not, if you're not working with Cru, you're working with another ministry, or you're working, with overseas or whatever. And you could delete all of it. You don't have to have a signature. It's up to you, but we're just giving it to you so that you have something to start with. And then down here is your vacation responder or your out of office. And so this is right where you would set that. And so I'm going to set that I am on an orc hunting trip. So I'm going to save my changes. And now up here at the top you see vacation settings. And so it says, I am out, and whatever you put there. If you put an end date, it'll end at that time. Or you can just go up and end now. And then your vacation responder is gone. So those are those things. Any questions about all of that? All right. Let's look at conversation threads. So this is going to be a big difference between many of you that are used to using Outlook or OnCharge or Mail and Google. Google takes any conversation that you had, and so it takes the original email and it brings all the replies to that email into what's called a conversation thread. So they're all going to be grouped together. Now that could be one person, I send out one email to all of us, and Scott emails all of us back. But then Mary Beth only replies to me, and what's your name?
John.
John? And then John just replies to these 3 people here. All of those different types of replies will all come into the conversation thread, and they will be listed in chronological order. So the great thing about that is that you can quickly catch up on an entire conversation without having to hunt all over your box for what those are, so that you don't respond to something that's already been responded to, or respond the exact opposite answer that your boss responded to everybody, or those types of things. And it's actually a way to really process through your mail quickly. You just kind of read the whole conversation, you're done, rather than having to kind of change subjects again and again as you're going. So it can be really helpful. But let me show you a little bit about what it's like. So if in general anything that's bold is something that you have not read yet. Anything that is not bold, you have already read that message. So you'll see in the conversation thread, like this one, half of it is not bold, which you can't see very well, I know, but you will on yours. And then the other one is bold. And so that means you've read part of the conversation thread, but you haven't read all the messages in that thread. The number right here just refers to how many messages are in that conversation thread. It doesn't refer to how many people, just how many messages. So let's open up a smaller conversation thread to get started. We're going to talk about a girls' weekend away. Now you notice these ones are gray. These are the ones that I've already read. So they're gray and they're compressed. The ones that I haven't read are open. So that's a quick way to know where you need to pick back up in this conversation thread. Anything that's up here, any menu button up here will apply to the entire conversation thread. So if you label it, it will label the whole thread. If you delete it, it will delete the whole thread. Again, that's partly why we say don't delete right away. If you move it, it will move the whole thread. You can also do a few things like you can forward the entire conversation thread. So let's say you need to catch somebody up on the whole conversation. You can forward the whole thing. Now remember, this is going to include Mary Beth's response that was just to me, which maybe was private. So you want to kind of think through if you're going to forward all and maybe look through the whole conversation and make sure that it works. But you can forward all of them. This is one of my favorite buttons, mute. You know how you get the reply alls that have nothing to do with you, and then pretty soon they're talking about the baseball game and you really don't care about baseball. But if you delete the conversation, what happens? It's gone, but then the next time somebody replies all to that conversation, it just comes back because it's another message to you. And so you just keep getting it, getting it, getting it. You can mute. And so you just press mute and it goes away. It doesn't truly go away. It goes to your all mail. So if you actually realized, oops, I should have been paying attention there, you can go find it. Or if somebody just replies back to just you, it will bring you back up into the conversation. But this is a beautiful, glorious way to not have to keep reading those reply alls that have nothing to do with you.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So it goes into your all. What am I looking at my all mail when I initially look at my email?
You're looking at your inbox.
I'm looking at my inbox.
Yeah. So
it'll
remember,
never come up on what
you
I
won't
see.
even see it unless you need to go look for it. So it's there, but you won't see it anymore.
Okay, so an email comes into my inbox, and typically after I read it, I have three options. I can either move it to a label, I can archive it, and then it's going to go to the all mail out of my inbox, or I can delete it.
Correct.
But you're saying avoid the delete, either archive or move to a label.
Yes, for now, for the first couple months.
Okay.
Yeah. Just so you don't end up deleting things you actually needed.
Did you say there is an all mail thing that you can click on, or is that the archive?
You mean to see your all mail? Yeah, it's down under more. So if you go down here and you click on more, which I know you can't see, but there's a little button here that says more, then now your all mail is right there.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so that is what you can do with all of them. You can also collapse all or expand all, and you can print the whole message if you need to. So those are some things there. But let's say we just want to reply to just one of the messages. So here we're going to reply, and we can either reply or reply all. Now remember, this could have been the message that John sent just to the three of us, and so, or just to the four of us here. And so if I'm replying all to the message that John sent, it's just going to that four. It's not going back to the original group of people that were in the original message. Or if I just reply to the message Mary Beth sent to me, it's just going to go back to her. It's not going back to everyone. So the things that you do right here in this part, these only have to do with that particular message. So the things you do up at the top are things that happen to the whole message thread. The things you do within an individual message, now it's just like you're just doing one message. So I'm going to reply. And I'm actually going to ask her a different question that I don't really want to continue being this conversation thread because it's about something different. So I'm going to edit the subject, and I'm going to ask her about sword lessons. I've been meaning to ask you to teach me. So now I'm just sending it to Aowen, and I'm asking about something completely different. So when I do that, it is not going to show up as part. Oops, where did it go? It's not going to show up as part of this conversation thread because it's now a new conversation thread. if I want it to still be part of this conversation thread, then I would just, and here.
You clicked on inbox. Would you click on send to look for it?
I wasn't looking for it. I was trying to show you that going back to that same conversation thread, it's not going to be part of it. If I had just sent it, so let me show you that. Let's say, okay, here I said to Galadriel, let's do this one. I am going to reply all. And now I'm going to send that one. So now you see it shows up at the bottom. Oops, wait, sorry, that was the other one. Let me come back to it. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. But now it will show up. Oh, where? Yeah, no, this is the right one. So now it shows up at the bottom. So the one that I changed the subject, it's no longer part of the thread. But when I don't change the subject, it just becomes part of the thread now. That make sense? So
if you reply all and change the subject, is no longer part of the thread?
yeah, so the way to make it not part of the thread is by changing the subject. Reply or reply all doesn't make a difference. It's just the changing the subject. Yeah. Any questions about that? All right. Let's go to a little bit longer one. Now I've got this crazy thread here that's got 30 people. So you can see, you know, see how it's like really compressed like an accordion? That's because there's a lot of messages in there. The same thing, I could click on it, or I could collapse all of them. I could expand all of them or collapse all of them to look through. And then the same thing, I can reply to just one message, or if I want to do something to the whole thread, I put it up here. One of the things that that is kind of cool is if you click here, it actually lists all the people that have been involved in this conversation thread, and you can start a group chat with all those people, you can email all of those people, or you can schedule a meeting with all those people. So maybe say, okay guys, we just need to take this conversation offline and actually have a meeting. You can just do it right there from that conversation. All right?
How do you actually, if you want it, this might be a totally different thing, if you say like, I have a prayer group and I want to set up a list and do a group.
Yeah.
How do you
That's
do
what
that?
I'm moving right on to, so that's a great transition. Over here under Mail is Contacts. So we're going to go to our Contacts. And you'll see once we get there that it's going to be kind of set up pretty much the exact same way. It's going to have your search at the top, and then it's going to have your compose a new contact, basically, button in the exact same place. And over here you have what's similar to your labels in Contacts, but in Contacts your labels are actually groups. So you can create groups of contacts that are real similar to your personal distribution list that you have in Outlook. And so right over here is your groups of contacts. So I'm going to go to one of my groups, which is all the Google trainers. And now here is my group. If I want to, I could click on that and I could email the entire group. I can do, there's a couple of, I can put them into a different group. I could add people to it by doing that. I could export or import the group. Yep.
Okay, so once you're clicking on it and you send it, then how do you actually compose and decompose before and then click on? How do you
Nope. So watch. So
transition from your message to
let me show you.
mailing?
So right here, I've got them all clicked. I press email, then see the little compose folder comes up right there. And it's going to send to all of the people. So if you want them in BCC instead, you'd need to change them down to BCC. And then you just write that you compose it the exact same way as a normal email. Yes, Mary Beth?
Did I miss it, or did you show how to create that distribution?
Nope, I have not shown it yet. So if I want to create a new one, let me come back over here to my contacts. And I'm going to create a new distribution list. This is all of my contacts. So I'm going to create a new group just with those two. And so I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to name it the D guys. Oops. So anyways, now it's going to show up eventually. Normally all this stuff is really fast, but since we're all online in here, it's a little slower today. But so it'll show up there under your groups. Now anything that was a crew-wide, so now see now my group here, the D guys.
Can you explain the import-export principle?
Yeah. So hold on, let me finish the group thought and then I will. Anything that was a crew-wide distribution list, like the Red River region, will be moved over into a group just like this automatically. And then when you email that group, you're just gonna put that, you'll put in the global address book the same way you did, and it won't show all the emails. So if it was created by IT and it's in the global address book, then it'll just show the email sending group. It won't show all the individual emails, just like it does in Outlook now. But if it's one that you created personally, it will show everybody's emails. So if you don't want them to all show, you put them in BCC.
So will everyone in Cru Global have access to the Red River region group, able to send an email to everybody in the Red River region?
I'm pretty positive. I'm still learning groups. I don't know them all, but I'm pretty positive you can set, who can see it, who can send to it, who can't, who can send from it in the actual groups. But that's my next week's assignment, is to learn those more.
I might have missed this, but if you have a new contact, like I see the button and you want to add it to a group, did you show us how to do that?
Yeah, it's the same. So if you're in, you can go from either way. If I'm here, I can just go down and add what group I want him to go to.
I mean a new person.
Like, so you just make somebody new?
Yeah.
So you'll add their name, and then the same thing. You just add what group you want them to go to. Down here is the directory, and this is the global address book. So now the same thing when you're in your email and you're just typing, the type ahead will come up for the global address book. But if you're looking for somebody or something, this is your global address book. Okay, somebody asked a question that I put off for a minute. Import, export. So, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to move on from contacts in just a minute so that we make sure we have time for calendar. And I didn't actually give you a break, but now we're starting to run out of time. So, import and export, you can import from, you can choose a CSV file and import. So if you use categories in Outlook right now, we're gonna move all of your contacts over for you, but categories or folders won't. So the best way to do that is export your contacts from Outlook and then import them again, and then just merge the duplicates, and that way you'll get your categories back and such. So that's just, yeah.
This is a contact question.
Yeah.
So I have contacts on my iPhone, I have contacts in my TNT, I have contacts in my Entourage. Then I have things that are not necessarily contacts, but whenever I start typing in their name, for some reason it remembers it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's going to happen with all of this contact?
It's hard for me to answer that question without actually looking into your computer and knowing, because I don't know where you have merged them and synced them and not. So it just kind of depends. Like your phone, you could be pulling your phone from your Exchange or from your Google or from somewhere else. And, yeah. So if you follow the directions on how to set your phone up, it will pull your contacts from Google. Okay? So if you get on there and you follow the directions on how to set your phone up, it will do that. Most likely, most of you are pulling your contacts onto your phone from the Exchange system. That's the most common setup. And so that same thing will happen again if you follow the directions on cruapps.cru.org on how to set up your phone. It'll just pull them right back in.
And I need that before this weekend.
No, after, on Monday. Yep, on Monday. Yeah, so before this weekend, you just basically your assignment is to, and you'll see this in the emails, is to get out of your email by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, and then just not to touch it on your phone or in there all weekend long. And then Monday morning, sign in mail.cru.org, go to cruapps.cru.org, follow steps 1, da-da-da. So there's not really much you need to do until Monday.
Can we set that out of office and work?
It won't work over the weekend because it's not going to send from Outlook anymore. But it would for now, if you want to set it out in office the next couple days saying, hey, just so you know, I'm not going to have access to email this weekend, that could be helpful.
So once this moves over, we can pretty much delete everything in our Outlook or Entourage.
Yeah. So let me stop move questions because in all honesty, we could spend the next 2 hours talking about move because this is why the training isn't about move. You all have very unique individual situations that really it takes kind of one-on-one to tell you. That's why there's so many, if you have this, then do this on that website. Google Guides are also, they've already gone through the move, they can help you. And there will be information on how to connect with the Google Guide if you don't have one in the emails that you're getting. But again, so let's move back from moving to actually using, because right now we're going to run out of time to show you how to use the calendar. We good? Okay. So those are your quick contacts. Making a new contact here, using your contact groups. You can delegate contacts. That's kind of a more advanced feature that you can look up in the classes. So now let's go over to calendar. So here is our calendar. So just for clarity's sake, I'm going to take these off so you can just see one. Okay, so the layout is really similar to mail. You've got your calendar in red, you've got your create button in, your big red button. Along the top here, you still have all your other apps. Here you can switch back and forth between what dates you want to show. You can do the same thing here in your little mini calendar just by clicking on it. You can look at the day view, the week view, the month view. Another fun view is agenda. It just kind of makes a list of all the things that are coming up. And here's your settings button. Same thing, you can switch back and forth between calendars, but there isn't any reason to do that, and I'll show you why. Let's come back over here to the week view. Over here, I have my calendars and other calendars. In my calendars are any calendar that I have the ability to manage, to edit, to manage the sharing. I have ownership of this calendar. Now that doesn't mean that it's my calendar. My calendar is the top one. So this is our one. And I know that this is harder for you to see. This next calendar here is Eldarion. That's my son's calendar. He set up his own Gmail account. He keeps his own calendar there. And so now I can actually, just look at it to make sure that I'm going to be available to pick him up for writing lessons when I need to and all of those types of things. And so, so this is his calendar that he makes, but I actually also have permission to put in appointments, to change appointments, to do things. I've also made a calendar called the Lord of the Rings Reunion Calendar. And this is where we're going to manage a whole project. So anybody that's working on that project can be on that calendar together. Or that could be maybe a team calendar that I've created. And so, again, so these are ones that I have access to change any appointments on. Ones down here under other calendars are calendars that I can view, but I can't do anything with. Any calendar, any person that's in Cru is automatically set so that everyone else in Cru can see free busy information. So you can add any coworker's calendar to your calendar as being able to see them. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to add Elron. And so now I can see his appointments too. Sorry, on Elron, I actually have, that was a bad one to show. Let me show this one. So see, it just says free busy. It just says busy, busy, busy on there. And so, you know, so I could put everybody on my teams together and kind of look at, you know, the next month and try to figure out when we want to meet, those types of things. I can also put some different fun types of calendars on to my calendar. Over here, this is add a coworker's calendar. This is browse interesting calendars. So here's holidays. This seems to be the most popular calendar there is, sports calendars. So I'm going to go here to basketball and a major league and you know, and I would subscribe to something.
No one's gonna miss anything.
There's also other calendars here, just to let you know. Resources for Cru, that's the calendars to like a resource room. But so let's.
Access to that.
So then let's look at what this looks like. So I added the Hawks in basketball. Now here it's got a little basketball, and it's got all of their games in my calendar. And if I look at a game that has already happened,
No, it doesn't tell you who won, does it?
it tells you the score.
Yeah.
No kidding.
It tells you the description.
And how much money you
Or
lost.
even on the internet, you can just look at it.
This is supposed to increase our productivity.
That was just for fun. So that's a fun calendar that you can look at. Now, I'm a gymnastics fan, so this does not help me because there are no gymnastics calendars, which I'm highly offended by. So this is how you can look at multiple people's calendars. So when you're talking about your own personal calendar and then this calendar, just share your personal calendar with yourself. Give yourself managing rights. Then you never need to have both calendar tabs open. You can just choose, you know, am I looking at my personal? Am I looking at my work? Am I looking at both? So that's a really easy way to do that.
So when someone else is looking at your calendar, do they see the details or does it just show up busy?
It depends on what setting you give it. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now.
But did you just say that you can have 3 calendars, one personal, one work, and one personal and work?
You could set that up that way, but I was just saying you could look just at the personal. So if I went here and I went display only this calendar, now I'm just looking at mine.
Okay.
Or I could just be looking at my personal one, or I could look at both.
Okay.
But you could make one that's just everything. You could just put all your personal on one too. So let's go to the calendar settings. So this is my Arwin calendar. And over here, I know you can't read it, so share this calendar. And right here, you can choose, this is sharing this calendar with others. So if you took this button off, no one could see this calendar. It would be a completely private calendar. You can make it a completely public calendar so that anyone in the world could see it. You can make share the calendar with everyone in Cru can see my free busy information or see all event details. So it's automatically set that everyone in Cru can see my free busy information. Again, you can make it so that no one can see it, so they can see everything, so that everyone in the world can see it. It's totally what you want to do with your calendar. And this is for any calendar. So let's say you're making a calendar that's, you know, the Christmas conference schedule, and you want anybody in the world to be able to see that one. You know, you could put that there. So, you know, think about how this would apply to any calendar you might make. But then down here you can share it with individual people, and you can give them different rights. So Aragon has rights to make changes and manage sharing, and so does Elrond. But Gandalf can only see my event details. So I can make it different for each different person. Now here I also have added the Lord of the Rings group, and everyone in the Lord of the Rings group can see all my event details. The great part about the groups is you could make a team, you know, you could make a group of just your team, and then you can share documents with that group, you can share calendars with that group, and as you manage who changes in that group, it will change the permissions that those people have. So if someone leaves your team, then they would no longer have access to those documents if you only gave them access by the group. And then if someone joins your team, then they would have access right away because you added them to the group. So then all you have to do is manage the group. You don't have to manage all the documents, all the folders, all the calendars, just the group. So that's really handy. You can also change reminders and notifications over here. If you want to be reminded on your phone, you just have to set it up, and it's down here in the middle. So that's kind of how you share and do all that with the calendar. I'm going to show you how to make an appointment and do that. But do you guys have any questions about the sharing? All right. Okay, so let's make an appointment. Okay. So you can come up here to create, or you can just click, in the time that you want an appointment. So I am going to do sword lessons. And I can change the date and the time here. I'm going to make it repeat every week. And I am going to do this with Eowyn. And I'm also going to invite Galadriel. But she's optional. That's just if she wants to come, so I'm going to click her white right there. If I wanted to put a room resource that's within the Cru system, I can do it right there. Let me go back to guests. I can change if they can modify the event, if they can invite others, or if they can see the guest list. So I can decide. In Outlook, people could just forward an appointment to somebody else, and that invited that person. That can't happen here. They can only invite a guest if you allow them to invite a guest. So then I can I can find the time. So I just click on here, and then that shows me everybody's schedules, and I can find a time that works for all of us. I can decide if I'm going to be available or busy, if it's going to be public or private. I can add an attachment. I can make a specific color, give a description, put in the location. And then this one is really fun. I can add a Google Hangout. And so once people are enabled on Google+, they can join a Google Hangout. But this way, everybody goes to the same Hangout. And so it's kind of like scheduling a Skype meeting, where everybody has the link, or if you use, Fusebox or any one of those things, it's just like scheduling the meeting. So it's just going to put the link right in here. The appointment comes up, and they just click on it, and everybody's in the same video Hangout. So that's really handy. So those are kind of all the different things that I can do with creating an appointment. And then it asks me if I want to send the invitation, so I say yes. So that's what I could do. Another way is the quick add. If you come right here, I can add, I could have said sword lessons with, I think I can do, this one is, I don't know if I can do with, but with Eowyn, 4 p.m. every Wednesday. So let's go to next Wednesday and see what it did. Sword lessons with Eowyn. So it didn't actually invite her, but it will put them, then it made it repeat weekly at 4 p.m. on Wednesday. And then over here is kind of fun. It's this little event flare. So you can add these little pictures. I like to do the plane on any of my flights. Makes it like really easy to see when I'm flying out. But for sword lessons, I'm just going to make a red star. And then I'm going to save it. And then now, down here, next Wednesday, it, of course, is not showing up the red star. Normally it does. If you look at my month, I've got the dinner, anything that I have dinner, I've got a fork and knife by, and you can kind of do fun stuff within that flare. So that's a fun little extra. Any questions on creating an appointment? Yeah?
That video thing, is that when you invite people, you send it, do they just get on their Google account and it's kind of like a Skype call, is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you can do up to 10 people, and it actually works for up to 10 people, where Skype really doesn't. It says it does, but it doesn't. Well, they actually even say it doesn't work for more than 6, even though they advertise 10. You can then get, once you're on there, it's really cool. We use this all the time now. Once you're on there, you can edit a document together. You can, watch YouTube video together. You can do all sorts of things within the meeting then while you're still all, looking at each other. And then it's got, of course, fun. It's Google, so it's got fun, silly things. You can put hats on each other and little faces, and you can make sound effects. My favorite one is the little cricket. So when you ask a question, everybody's quiet, then you play the little cricket. So just all kinds of things like that. Let me show you really quick. Let me come back here and show you chat in just like a quick second. Oops, I am on the wrong thing. So I'm going to go back to my mail. And down here is chat. And so I'm going to make it bigger. So there's a lab called Right Side Chat. Oh my goodness, and this is why I use it. Because it gets the chat gets lost in your labels. So if you set the chat to be on the right side, it works significantly better. But let's say I want to chat with Frodo. I just click on there, and he's one of my friends, and so you saw how it showed a little green thing right here next to him. And so I can just type in, and that'll start a chat with him. But I could also video chat. I could audio chat over the computer. I could just call him, and it'd be a computer-to-computer call. I can make it a group chat. And I can, I can do a couple other things there. So the video chat is just kind of with me and Frodo. If I wanted to do a group, then I would do a hangout. But you can also start a hangout from here. So you just click it there. And so this is actually, surprisingly to me, it's become just the bread and butter of how our team works. Because it's so much quicker to have a quick chat conversation than to email back and forth over time when it's just about something quick, or when it's about something that it's like, okay, this is getting confusing over email. Hey, can you just chat? Or, and then we'll just do a quick video chat, and we'll work out whatever we're trying to figure out, and then we're done, rather than email back and forth and back and forth. The nice thing is that anybody in Cru or anybody that you have a contact with, you can search them. So I'm going to search Scott Nannon, and I'm going to go here, and I can find him, and I can invite him to chat. And so once he has accepted an invite to chat with me, then I can choose if he's going to show up on my list or not. But even if he doesn't, I just search him, and then I can just chat with them. So you don't have to know, are they on AOL, what's their instant message number, or handle, what's their Skype name. You just search them, and you've got access to them. And the same thing for the phone. If you're going to do a computer call, you don't have to know their phone number. You can just really quickly talk with them over the phone. So it's really a quick and easy way to communicate. And like I said, for me, it's actually kind of become our, and not even just with my team, like with other people as I've had to interact with them over other things. So we're working with a group called Cloud Sherpas to manage us through this change, and I chat with them all the time. We're on each other's speed chats.
Okay, so what if somebody wants to chat with me and I don't want to chat with them?
Great. Yeah, so you can also you can make yourself invisible, busy, available. You can create a custom message saying I'm doing training right now. So those are some things. Like right now, because our team does chat all the time. Yesterday I forgot to make myself invisible, and as I was doing the presentation, doing just, hey, Stace, da da da. I was like, stop chatting with me. I'm trying to train people. So you could choose not to accept their invitation to chat. But they only invite you once. But I think everything becomes normal in a culture. So within our team, if you're busy, you just click it down, and people kind of go, oh, they can't chat right now. So.
Do you set up appointments to chat?
You could. Yeah, it doesn't have a click in there just like that. For the appointments, I would normally do a video chat. but you could. Any questions about that? All right, I have given you guys a fire hose today, and we went a couple minutes over, so I apologize. But you guys have any last questions about anything? Oh, okay. Go for it.
Okay, so you mentioned at the beginning, if we have two Google accounts, Cru and personal, on using a laptop, we can toggle between the two. How about on a handheld?
The apps on there, all of them, the Mail app or the Gmail app, both of them allow you to have multiple accounts on there, and you can just go back and forth between them the same way, and on your iPad or your tablet. Mirabelle.
Well, I was just going to ask you how long it took you to get used to going to Google. You said at first you were resistant and then you began to love it. So, like, how long did it take? I'm just curious. I mean,
Like
I
a
know it's
week?
different for a week.
For me, but I adopt pretty fast to technology.
Okay.
But the thing about Google is, like, we did all of this training because it can do so much, but it's pretty simple. It's a lot harder to learn Outlook than it is to learn, because that's what this is made for. This is made for the normal person so it's really easy to learn. So if you look, I kind of feel like if you learned Outlook without any training, because most of us got no training in Outlook, we just had to start doing stuff, and maybe the person next to us, you'll be fine here,
So all the people that have marybeth.minnis@uscn.org, will that continue to go to my cru.org
Yep.
Gmail world?
Yep. Okay. Work just like it has been.
So if we're on vacation next week, do we have to do something Monday, or can it all just wait?
It'll all just wait. So I liken this to moving to a new house. If you're gone next week, on the day that the moving company comes in and moves your stuff in, like, you just want to keep out your clothes that you need, Everything else you'll unpack when you get home. And so if you need access to your email, you'll go to mail.cru.org. But just go and just send emails or read emails. Don't worry about moving all your stuff in and getting it onto your phone. But, but if you don't need it at all, yeah, there's nothing it'll be waiting for you as long as you want it to.
So this stuff all works anywhere Chrome works?
Yes. Yeah. And it does work on other browsers as well. It just works best on Chrome. So that's why we're suggesting Chrome. But it'll work on all the browsers.
So this weekend, we need to turn off automatic downloads?
You actually, we thought you did, but we've kind of finally got word from Google themselves. You actually don't have to. Just don't go on and make any changes. You can even go on and read. Just don't change anything. Yeah, that's when things start going wonky.
Can you explain that a little more?
Yeah.
Because I get in my mail app here, I get my USCM and Yahoo. How do I make sure I'm out of that? How do I stay out of my?
Yeah, usually there's.
You just asked.
There's usually a view where instead of being in the all inboxes view, you're just in the Yahoo box view. So just check it just from the Yahoo box view.
And log out.
You could log out altogether. That would make it easiest for you. But you might, if you have your contacts through Outlook, that might make it so then you don't have your contacts on the phone for the weekend. So again, it kind of depends on how you have your phone set up. But the thing is, you're not going to get any new email in over the weekend. At 5 o'clock, anything new stops coming in. So you can go and look at your old things, but if you send an email, it's not going to do anything. And then also, so you can go look at emails. It's just if you start moving them to a different folder, or you delete them, or you do that stuff, that's when weird, crazy things start happening.
So I'm not going to mess something up if I look at it.
Right. Yeah. Theoretically. The best thing to do is just to stay out of it. Yeah, we did find that some people had weird things happen, and then as we started talking with them more and more, it's like, well, I was in my mail doing it. So our best advice is to just stay out of it, and then it will transfer over more smoothly. Other questions? All right. Thanks, everybody. So good luck. Go to Google. I'm praying for you. And yeah, it's all there. there on the web to help you. So
Good job, Stacie.
thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, hold on just a second. Let me just pause this recording. And